Hello, this is Market Cheat Sheet with Morgan, and we are trading the QQQs today. Today we are looking at making either a short call spread or short put spread trade. First off, this is not financial advice. This is not individualized financial advice. This is entertainment to watch me make a few thousand or lose a few thousand today. Obviously, we want to control our losses, but like I said, entertainment only. So what I'm seeing here in the market is puts being bought up pretty heavily. I'm actually going to enter my trade momentarily here, so bear with me if I'm not talking and doing it at the same time. Yes, in fact, I might have missed my trade. Shoot. Well, that's what I get for talking through it. Ideally, we want to see the price up in this range. So hopefully we get one more shot at this. Yeah. So yeah, what I'm looking at here is the the call put ratio. When it's going up like that, that means people are buying puts. We do see the market advance and decline starting to roll over. The VIX is starting to peak up. Ticks are going down. So all this is, indicating that the market's kind of getting a little tired. Might be ready to start rolling over. So, don't want to be biased with our trading, but I am looking for the day to maybe close a little down. So looking at entering a 490, 493 short call spread, but I want to get as much premium as I can for that. So I'm going to want the price to be as high as possible. Ideally, I'd want to be right in the middle between the two numbers, so right around 490, 150 would be an ideal entry for me. I am looking at the TTM squeeze. Sometimes when you're down here and you see the yellow bars, it is indicating that momentum's shifting up. So what I'm really hoping for, what I'm looking for here is maybe we swing all the way up to 492 and then roll over at the end of the day. That would be the ideal setup for me here. So of course we do want the ideal setup, so that means oftentimes waiting. We don't just have a concept of what will happen and then willy-nilly trade. That's a great way to lose a lot of money. You need to wait for the setup. And right now, it's been trading sideways for, gosh, what is that? An hour now? This is trading sideways. We had this little dip here, but hard to say. Maybe we get a swing down first. And when trading, you don't have to force a trade either. See, interestingly enough, though, people are starting to buy calls with that, even as the market is dipping. Interesting. Where else do we get calls? Right around 1300. People are buying calls right here too. Probably not a good move. Okay. So while we're waiting for the trade to take shape, probably wondering, gee, Morgan, why do you have so many lines on your chart? And like these two lines here were from when we were taking highs here earlier in the week. I'm suspecting this is a pivot point basically. At the end of the day, we might actually we might rocket up out of this. Certainly we have a lot of consolidation here, so that's entirely a possibility. So while I generally see towards the end of the day lately that there's, been little mini plunges, yesterday excluded, of course. Well, not so much. We came up and then that's a bit of a plunge, right? Uh, Little plunge here in the last 10 minutes. So, while I do like to get in a trade uh, an hour or two before the market closes, and this would be an example of one of those beautiful places where you have a perfect setup where it comes up to a nice peak here. You see that it falls below the moving average, and you're like, you know what? If we break this level here, it's probably not gonna stop. It's probably gonna be a change in direction. So yeah, let's see how this develops. Again, advancing decline is saying market's looking a little ill. Market is of course moved by the mega caps, so it's entirely possible that Apple kind of pops up to 199 and then rolls over. Microsoft moves the market as well. It's sitting here in no man's land. It's not going up, not going down. Looks very much like the QQQ. See? Amazon is looking a little ill, if I was to characterize the chart here. And that's not my long-term thing, by the way. I think Amazon's going to kind of head back up to the 215 range here, probably in fairly short order. So if you're looking for longs, that might be one. Another one I've been kind of keeping an eye on and considering getting into is Restoration Hardware. You have a bit of a rising triangle here. So some people might say this is a ascending wedge, and then you're going to have a drop. I mean, this thing's tied to trade news. It looks like we're more apt to get trade deals than not. So that would be potential for a rise there. So another thing I like to look at is the Russell. The Russell will sometimes roll over before the Qs and give you just a little heads up of what's coming next. So it is good to keep an eye on that as well. I think we might get lucky today. This might very well push right back up into 492 before rolling over. If it rolls over. Again, don't be biased. I'm showing my bias there. It looks like people are getting into calls though, so my guess is the next move is up. The VIX is starting to say that put premium is going down, so it does appear that we have a chance for kind of one of these moves up and down. And a lot of people say, people think that life of a trader is super exciting. Sometimes it is, to be honest, but a lot of it is waiting. I might very well edit this later as a replay where I fast forward through some of these bits. But yeah, like I said, you have to wait for your setup. And the market, by the way, has been trading flat for several hours now. So this is what I consider flat. Look, it's moved, what, $1 up, $1 down on a overall move today of $8. This is, for all intents and purposes, for the type of trading I want to do, this is flat. This is depending on where you center your trade, you could be slowly earning premium here, but I tend to like to trade when there's a better chance of a strong move, and that I'll be on the right side of that strong move. So I mean, for all I know, this was the moment here, to do a short put spread, and maybe we just end the day, you know, up at 494 or something crazy, right? Like that's entirely possible. Sometimes I like to see what's moving the market. So Apple is moving, Microsoft, the smaller tech names. By the way, I'm in the queues, so I'm checking mostly the big tech names. Yeah, Nvidia's having to move. By the way, Nvidia's in a squeeze right here. So in theory, especially the way this is coming out, it might be squeezing to the upside. And Nvidia's a big one, right? So if this squeezes and moves up to like 219 by the end of the day, then, selling call spread on the Qs isn't going to be a good move at all. But like I said, kind of looking for this to get up here a little higher, and then we'll see what we do here. Yeah, the VIX is dropping. This is a pretty strong move here. So, like I said, patience. If I was to enter a trade, it would be up here a little higher. But also, I don't want to enter a trade with a strong green candle followed by another strong green candle. I want to wait until I see some weakness. I also want to wait until we get some movement away from the moving averages here. By the way, this purple line, that's called VWAP, volume weighted moving average, or average price rather, volume weighted average price. So it's basically, if you were to add up the price and the volume, average it all, this is where you are for the day down here. So, yeah. So by the way, something I do check for options ideas is I have this scanner. Look for options that are within a certain price range, pretty cheap, and that have volume. And it's not so much that I would ever want to necessarily trade the cheapies that tend to be out farther away, but this tends to give me an idea where other traders are putting their money. So I see TSM, Taiwan Semiconductors, is having a lot of May 25th calls being bought right now. Same with Intel. So it looks like semiconductors are getting some play. Bull. Well, that's a new one. Webull. Let's see how some of those are behaving while we're waiting here for our main trade. Taiwan Semiconductor, yeah. By the way, so isn't it beautiful where you see lines like this, right? Look at my gray line here and how it's tagging here, 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 and here. This is why you see some of my charts with so many horizontal red lines on them. Of course, one would have some caution here because you're also seeing an important pivot point here around 182 for TSM. Could certainly get up to that and the moving average, right? This is the 200-day moving average right here, this little dashed line. So my guess is we actually do come up into 183, tag that, and then we might see a little weakness after that. Let's see, what else was it? There was TSM, Intel. I liked Intel here. It's just so cheap, and it has a new CEO. It's I think it's in a squeeze here, so there's a potential on any news, trade news or otherwise, for this to do another one of these big jumps. So something to keep an eye on there. And then what was the other one I just kind of picked out there? Bull. Yeah, it is having a move. My goodness, look at that. Gosh. Yeah, this thing, I don't know if I was going to kind of call it. I'd say this could have a move to 24 or so. 26, maybe. It's about to have the TTM squeeze shift momentum, so I'm sure if you looked at MACD, it would probably show similar sorts of goodness there. So, okay, let's get back to our main trade. Okay, looks like there's a, gosh, I don't see this very often. Did someone buy a lot of puts and then some calls? Yeah, you don't normally see a jump in the middle of the day in this chart. Not going to say it's a glitch, but that's unusual right there. Alright, well, let's take a closer look at what this is looking like. You know what? That's it. I think this is our move. I'm going to go ahead and sell my short call spread right there. So what does the short call spread look like? So it's short, so that means we're selling the 490 calls, we're buying the 493. We want the market to roll over here and tag down below 490, ideally VWAP at 489. So since we entered this trade, I do want to have some protection, so I'm going to put in a stop. And that stop is going to be, for me, close to a 20% loss. So let's do actually a little less than that. Let's do 210. Alright, so if the Qs get above 292.50, we'll be out, and that's just the way it is. And so we manage these stops. I actually sometimes just go ahead and get my finger on the trigger of doing a market order to get out. That's essentially what the stop's going to do anyways if it were to move. So if I do see a strong move up this way, I'll just get out a little earlier. Let's see here. Oh, probably wondering, proof, did I just do that? Yeah, here's my my trade. Just did. So like I said, sold the 490, bought the 493. Sometimes the market embarrasses you, so we'll see. Like I said, I was kind of waiting to get back into this range because we've been seeing weakness here all day, right in the 492 area. We did briefly go up to 492.70, so we'll see what happens here. So this TTM squeeze on the 5-minute is telling me I made a mistake, so we'll see here. Nice thing about short call spreads and short put spreads is you're selling premium, so it's at least the premium is working with you in terms of time decay most of the time. So we'll see if that was stretched or not. I do like this last candle. It's a bit of rejection. Be nice to see a continuation there. Sometimes I like to check the big names. So yeah, Apple kind of came up, and maybe it'll tag our moving average here. Microsoft's a big one. It's starting to roll over here. That's what the TTM squeeze is saying, at least. Amazon, I think, is starting to look like it's rolling over, so this is good. Uh-oh, Microsoft's going the wrong way for us here. How about Nvidia? Nvidia is looking a little shaky, so that's all right. Maybe not. Yep, so we're sitting in our trade. We have an hour and 15 minutes before the market closes. We will be out of our trade before then. So, like I said, keeping a close eye on this. We have our stop up here, so it's entirely possible we made a mistake and we hit our stop and we're out, but it does look like the market's starting to maybe roll over lightly. There is no confirmation here in terms of advance and decline yet, although the VIX is starting to curl up with at least one tick there. So we shall see. Again, not financial advice, you're just watching some guy on the internet make or lose money. How much could we make, by the way? Cost of this trade right now is $3,600. So 20 contracts, currently selling for $1.80. Ideally, we want the contracts to all expire worthless. That would be perfection. So we were looking at the 1 minute, by the way, so this might be a case on the 5 minute where we just kind of hit a couple lighter blue TTM bars and then roll over again. So we shall see. Sometimes we just have little reversions to the mean too. So example here, we were pulling away from the averages a bit, pulled back to them, pulled away from the averages a bit, pulled back to them, so pulled away from the averages a bit, maybe we pull back to them here. So, hard to predict. And I'm going to fully admit I don't think this is, like the perfect setup or anything. I'm just thinking we bumped into this price level a number of times throughout the day. If this was the peak, second peak for the day, this would be a lower low. Lower lows tend to mean we go down, so certainly if we get close to my stop here, this is an indication that we should get out, because it might not be the lower low of the day. Alright, so it looks like puts are starting to eke up. VIX and ticks aren't really helping us out here. Advanced decline isn't. We're just kind of in this waiting period. I do like to get into the trade, while there's still premium in the calls or puts that I'm selling. So that's part of the impetus for why I felt the need to enter here. It's, let's just say that over over here we have a better entry. By the time you get to the last 40 minutes of trading, there's just not meat on the bones for those contracts anymore. And then for a lot of traders, a lot of contracts sell out on Robinhood at 12:30 here Pacific time. So that's a lot of liquidity out of the market. It's just not where you want to trade. You want some meat on the bones. All right, so I sold those for how much? 175. All right, where are we at now? 169. All right, so we're modestly profitable at this point, but we really do need a pullback. We need this to pull back to the blue line. Ideally, we come way down here and tag down closer to 490. That would be ideal. And sometimes trading's a little boring. Just gonna watch our screen here and see what happens. These things take time. Big picture, we had a extraordinarily large move up here on Trump talking about the British trade deal. There's more trade deals likely to come, so I think we're in for some fun trading next couple weeks. But also we have India and Pakistan, both nuclear powers, shooting artillery across their border, and unfortunately people are getting hurt and killed. So it's not good. But I do feel that there's a chance that people are just going to want to get out of the market after a day that's been so nice. I mean, we're up almost 2% on the QQQ. We're up more than 2% on the Russell. So it wouldn't surprise me if people book some gains here. Okay, our options are now trading at 160 spread, so just up a couple $100 here so far. Really would like to see this drop a little bit more. That will be up a few thousand. So we do see the ticks just came down here. By the way, according to Howard Carter, if you see the ticks down at 1,000 here, negative 1,000 or positive 1,000, that's a strong indication on further moves in that direction. So if we see here in the next few minutes it's taking down to 1,000, that's at least according to Carter. Great book, by the way, highly recommend it. It's looking like going down here. Okay, our advance and decline is confirming the move. VIX is confirming this move. Of course, we did just tag one of our moving averages here. So just sit here and wait. Now, I might even get out of this trade if we were to see a move up kind of to the bottom of this previous green candle and above. I would probably get out of this trade. I know that our stop's way up here. You might be wondering, well, why don't I just put my stop down there? These stops are on options. This isn't a stop on stock. And what I've noticed is on my trading platform, TD Ameritrade, that they sometimes do a quick little move up and they just basically tap your stop and give you an unfavorable price, frankly. And so I don't like my stops to be that close. Oops. Let's look here. Okay. Yeah, so I don't like my stops being that close. I've been stopped out on silly little moves like what you just saw here so often. So let's just say I did put my stop right here with that notion that I'd want to get out if it came up that high. I would be out right now. And so my stops are really for limiting catastrophic losses. So 20%, I'm okay losing 20%. That means I can do four or five bad trades to one trade in terms of ratio. So okay, we are back to flat on our position here. So we'll call it mental stop here. If this keeps pushing up, might want to get out. The VIX is down. The market broadly is going down. Ticks aren't helping us one way or the other too much. That was a pretty strong impulse up though. Does look like that might be a false move. Another thing I like to do is sometimes draw lines, little trend lines. Another thing that would get me out is if we start peaking up above this trend line for any amount of time. Alright, there we go. Back in the black. Alright, gonna get a new bar here. Sometimes I do want to double check and see what sort of squeezes we have on the other time frames. Looks like there is a squeeze on the 10 minute. This is the type of squeeze that can oftentimes resolve down. But if we're looking more broadly, that squeeze could also be part of a trend pattern squeeze. So trend for the day is sort of up. This pattern is a pattern of consolidation, so like in theory that's could squeeze up. But like I said, there are other things going on in the world. The market is news driven right now, so we shall see. Okay. We are positive on our trade. Trading should be boring, ideally. Of course, in the news-driven environment, it's things can change on a dime, right? Like a move like this, if you don't have your stop, you'll just be blown out of the water. I actually made money yesterday with a very similar strategy, selling a call spread here, got into it, and then as it came up here, I got back out of it, and the good thing I did, it would have been a total loss. So, but instead made a couple grand on that one. So, and that's the idea for today as well. Just make 2 or 3 grand. 2 or 3K a day keeps the day job away. That's what they say, right? So, do you have the VIX peaking up here? I do like to see that. What I'd really like to see is this pop back up, maybe a nice sharp bar down to -1,000 or so on the ticks. That would be great. There is indecision on the calls and puts here. In fact, it looks like people are getting into calls. Maybe they're seeing that squeeze I'm seeing. Maybe they're trading something else. I don't know. But yeah, the market is continuing to look weaker and weaker here. So a reminder, we sold the 490 and we bought the 493 up there. If we were to close the day out without, obviously we have the stop here, but let's just say I was trading more recklessly and there was no stop and we were at the end of the day and above 493, that would be a total loss, and I'd be down about $4,000. conversely, if we trade under 490, so if we come back down to basically VWAP, that'll be a gain and a total gain of about 3,500. So that's what we're looking at here. Oh my goodness, and I have a dog, and my dog is seeing something outside that's really exciting, so I need to turn the blinds down there for a minute. Okay, so let's just see kind of how the market's moving. Apple is not sure. Looks like it's rolling over down again. Microsoft, yeah, let's just not have any more impulses up on Microsoft, right? If it can come back down to VWAP, that would be perfect. Oh, Google. I guess it was down a lot yesterday. Makes sense. Good, good. Amazon's getting some squeeze here, some TTM squeeze. You know, the last one was up, but this would coincide with news. We'll see. Ideally, again, come back down to VWAP. That would be perfect. Do have options trade open on SMR. I did open one earlier on Bull because it came across my scanner. You can see I bought the 18 strike here, so not even going to check it. I'm pretty sure I'm up on that. Yeah. All right. So, more classical trading thing, you know, if our moving averages here cross, this is our 9-minute and our 20-minute. If these cross, I'm looking at, yeah, so yeah, when these cross, that tends to be negative, right? And you've heard of like the golden cross, that's a 50-day and 200-day moving average. These are micro versions of that. So when they crossed last time, you see how the market reacted to that? Almost on cue. Can you see this? The little orange line, blue line, right on cue, the market just tanked. And then right on cue when it crossed last time, market shot up. So in theory, it tanks this time. If it's a similar size move, we might actually get close to our exit. Still an hour left in the trading day. We're now up $1,000 on this move so far. Options are trading at 130. Thing is, see, trading range here. So I do expect a little indecision here before we resolve one way or the other. I am going to move my stop. So we are up so much here that I am going to move my stop. So I'm going to change it to 160. So now we're in a position where we're going to make money today. Even if this were to blow past it, I'm pretty confident I'd be out by 175. So worst case, we scratch today. Also, check this out. Puts just blew up. All right, people are buying puts. Market's starting to tank. Fixes up. Looks like we're setting up to maybe, like I said, have a little indecision here. But if we blow past to like this range here, we'll say anything lower than 490.90, then we're likely to see a continuation down a little lower. Of course, the market doesn't go in one direction non-stop, so need to probably wait for us to tag the moving average again. So this is a correction in time, essentially. So let's just wait while it's teeing up here. Do do see the advance and decline continuing to go down, VIX continuing to climb. Little bounce in the big names here, so again, need to get ready to exit. You never know what's going to happen next. So I'm just going to again get my market order ready. So oh geez, that's a pretty strong move. Let's see where our stop is too. So we'll see if it reverses or if I'm out. I might be out for the day. It would be for the day. I'm not planning on making another trade. Yeah, and out. Darn. Alright, well, let's see what we make on that one. 260 bucks. Yeah. That's not much. We'll see if this was a head fake. Be my luck that it just rolls right back over. Well, like I said, don't want to lose money. That's the most important thing, not losing money. So we'll go ahead and see. I said I'm done for the day. Maybe I'm not. We'll see. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to get back into that one. I like the trade. And I will go ahead and get back in. Okay, so we're back in for $1.50. Now, importantly, I'm going to put my stop back on. So, just a minute while I get that set up. So stop's going to be at 170 on the bid. Again, this is to limit any type of catastrophic loss. So yeah, what we're doing here is if we get above this green line, then we're out. Then I'm out for the day. If that happens, I'm out for the day. For real this time. But yeah, on the first trade we made what, 250 bucks, something like that. And idea is, you know, the market is just looking weak going into the close, and you know, VIX is starting to kind of curl up here. The ticks are heading down. The balance in the first part of the day, the ticks were up. And you can see as the day progressed, the ticks are kind of always below zero. The market's bleeding off, advance and decline. People just got into puts. Okay, well, I guess I'm glad I got back in. This one candle did, you know, markets don't head in the same direction non-stop, right? So I got a little skittish and got out. Probably shouldn't have done that, but oh well. Like I said, I exited the first trade with a profit. I intend to exit this one with a profit as well. That being said, I'm just going to zoom in on the 1 minute here. We do have this new trend line that I added back here, and we do see the markets continuing to drop. We do like to sometimes see what's driving the market. So our big caps, Microsoft's dropping, and if Microsoft goes back below its most recent low here, so again, reminding you this is 1 minute. You know, lower lows are what we want to see. Good. How about Nvidia? Nvidia is just kind of bouncing around here, but looks like it's heading down next. These TTM squeezes, they tends to, if you go from negative to positive, it tends to go up, but we are towards the end of the day. I think the squeeze might actually resolve down. We'll see. Tesla's down. Google is heading up, but never know. Could roll over. Facebook's looking ill. Here, I'll zoom back out to the 5 minute. Yeah, that's the kind of move we want to see here. So this trade, by the way, is selling the 490 short call spread. So I sold 490 calls and I bought 493 calls. So that's what we're looking at here. Again, goal is to have both of those expire worthless. If that happens, we'll be up about $3,000. So I do have my stop. I'm also going to get a market order ready. TD Ameritrade does fill markets pretty nicely. Do you see a squeeze starting to form on the 5 minutes? Again, see which way that resolves. Really hoping that we see a cross on the moving averages here to the downside. Again, can take a quick peek at what's moving the market. See, this doesn't look like a strong formation for a TTM here for the momentum shift. See, this is a strong formation. We were going up pretty strongly, flat on Apple for a bit, and then the momentum was basically continuously upwards. This doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like a strong, blues. This is one of those moves where it feels like it could be a dark blue, and sentiment shifts here pretty soon. Like happened with Microsoft. This was almost positive momentum, and then it started dropping. Nvidia, in theory, should have fired off a squeeze. This probably was the start of what a squeeze fire to the upside. It failed. I don't know. Maybe we get a squeeze and it squeezes down to the VWAP. We shall see. Alright, so where I'm struggling here, looking at Amazon, is, we have resistance here. Previous resistance oftentimes becomes support. So as you see here, do have that possibility on Amazon. So do have a squeeze here as well. Lots of squeezes on the big caps. Okay, that's something to always keep an eye on, because that we can get end of day surprises here for sure. Okay, I'm going to check my stop. Stops at 170, options trading at 130, so I think I do want to bring this in a little bit, maybe to 160. See that little green line come down a little bit when I do that. Gosh, is it going to cycle all the way back up here again? That would suck. Ticks are leaning up. Market still appears to be dropping. Advanced decline means a lot of individual names are dropping. Alright, let's see. Apple came up. Had a little potential for a squeeze. Came back down. Don't know. man's land. Let's see. And again, it'd be beautiful if this just rolls over and we tag down closer to this previous low. That would be the winning trade of the day. It's ideally what we're looking for. So, you know, when you're seeing these moving averages here, these moving averages are starting to curl up. And so we're at a decision point here, right? Either we're going to drop below 491 or we're going to start coming up here. Looks like we're starting to drop over. So yeah, this is a critical couple moments here. Going to get my market trade open again, ready to go. Our options are trading at 127 now. Originally we got in at 150, so up about 400 bucks right now. And we're not trading huge, you know, not today. News lately has been whipping this stuff around so much. I don't want to be in a large position, you know, some $10,000 trade or something, and get my face ripped off. Don't want that. Okay, market's behaving the way I want it to. That's nice. Of course, it's not up to us. It'll do what it wants to do. We just react. Do not want to be biased. Biases are what causes losing trades. That's where you say this is going to happen, and then you trade like that's going to happen no matter what, without a plan to get out. Here we have a plan to get out. Our stop's right here. Stop's right here. This swings back up, we're out. Continues down, we're in the money. Doing just fine. We do have a little bit of a squeeze forming here. So take a look, see what's going on. Oops. Come on now. We want it to stay under this blue line. We want it to stay under our trend line too. See this trend that's forming? Yeah, I really want to see the next candle down. That is going against us. Microsoft is big. Have to respect Microsoft. Amazon's also big. Okay, we just don't want these squeezes to resolve up right now. We want this to resolve down. And we're down to the last 45 minutes of trading, 44, so, you know, I will be exiting this trade one way or the other in the next 45 minutes. That's a given. That's guaranteed. Alright, a little test of our trend there. And sometimes the market does that. It gives you this really awesome trend line, and then it'll, you know, basically sucker people out of their positions. Okay, what we want to do is see in the next minute here or two, we want to see this drop, ideally. There we go. A little more. Another 20 cents or so, and then we can start moving down. Oh yeah, and then we have the squeeze, and we have the red bar here forming. Beautiful. Market's continuing to drop off. VIX isn't waking up though, so this is always a little concerning. You know, we want confirmation here. I would ideally want to see the VIX move up. We do see people hinting into some puts. I wonder why. Okay, it's the 1 minute. Let's get back. Ooh, oh, what's going on here? No, stay down there. All right. getting my market order ready again just in case, because reversals lately in the market have been very strong. We want this to be a trend, a pattern, and then consolidation, right? And then down again. That's what we want to see now. If it kind of comes up and then up here like that, we want to get out. And there's only a few minutes left essentially in the day. So here we are day trading. We need to be really careful. These positions move really fast at the end of the day. A $2 move up in the market right now would wipe this position. Again, that's why we have our stop right here. But we would have a max gain with just a $1 drop. So we were up $8, right? If the market just goes down a little bit, then we'll be near max profit on this position. So it's entirely possible. Again, people still climbing into puts. Sometimes what I see is when there's a giant move in, again, not giant, but there's a bigger move in puts, especially towards the end of the day. Sometimes that indicates some big money is getting ready for dropping the market a little. We shall see. This might be it. Wish me luck. Alright. Sold these again, so this is our trade right here. Sold our 490, 493 spread. And we're out. Okay, well, something happened. I'm done for trading for the day, so yeah, let's see. Overall for our QQQ trades today, under $20 profit. Oh well. Like I said, that's nothing. Essentially not worth the time. We were looking for market drop, didn't do that. Not going to play in the market anymore today, because as you can see, these little moves at the end of the day, they can totally mess up the trade. So should have been watching for that. Good thing we had that stop. You can see how quickly these things move. Don't know if there's news or yet or what, but I mean, this isn't that big of a move. But yeah, you can see people all of a sudden got into calls. We had a pretty strong ticks move. And if we weren't so close to the end of the day, I would be thinking about selling a short put spread here. But we're close to the end of the day. We're also close to highs of the day. And the safe, smart thing for me to do is just stop. Stop while you're ahead. Granted, only $120 ahead, but c'est la vie. It is what it is. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me. That was my day trading for today. I'll try to do more of these streams in the future, and maybe we'll have better luck next time. Thanks.